What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and I am back with another edition of the betting show as we go head first into a very busy weekend in the world of mixed martial arts. We have your weekly UFC show as we're all kind of getting sick of now at this age, waiting for the pay-per-views to come along. We have a fantastic Cage Warriors show going down here in my lovely country of Ireland. The PFL season is starting, and there's some very, very, very good stuff on the first, second, and third weeks of the PFL, which we'll be talking obviously a lot about here on the Sheehan Show. We've won championship as well, and KSW, actually, Saladin Parnas is back, so we have a bumper weekend of mixed martial arts. I have like a little schedule in my Google documents here of the weekends that are upcoming, and you know, when I see a new PFL show or a new Bellator show or whatever it might be, I put it into my my schedule, so I'm ready for it. And this week I was like, okay, what am I going to have to leave out this week, because there was just so much. And look, we've gotten through a good bit of it. We actually have an extra podcast this week, which was is absolutely fantastic. So please tune into all of them if you're listening to this or watching this. There are others as well on the Sherdog, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening. You can get even more. So please do that. If you watched last week, you mightn't be back for more because it was an unmitigated disaster. It's been a real whirlwind the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, none right. Last week, all of them right. The week before last, all right. Last week, again, we hit the O again. Oh my God. Okay, the Flier, Luca by submission. To recap, no, he was just, Luca looked he didn't look himself. Let's put it that way. He didn't look even close to himself. We had Aaron Blanchfield again, a completely wrong pick there. Got just to the other end of it. And I know a lot of people in the comments and others were picking Flier, and they definitely got it right. I didn't. The one I was closest to was the Pacheco versus Kellen Lockwood under 2.5 rounds. Only for the referee, I think that was a good pick. I think Kellen Lockwood kind of beat him the exact way I thought he'd beat him. But the referee didn't stop the fight, so, you know, you can't litigate against that. The Doris McKee, Chidi and Jaquani fight, again, Chidi fought like completely differently than I think most people are expecting, so kind of ruined that bet there. And then Sean De Silva against Lonnie Kavanagh. I told you Lonnie Kavanagh was good, but I didn't think he was already as good as he is, so... Yeah, a very bad week and unlucky week. Do you know what I've realised over the last while? I'm good at the analysis, but the picking of the bets, like the comment section and other people, I'll throw out the analysis, the thoughts. You pick the bets for yourself. that's the way we do it. No, but I'll continue and I'll keep going. The record is taking a bad hit. Only hit 18 of 42. Oh, only one of the 11 Flyers so far. It has been a bad start to the year. Last year, I think it went very, very well. I was very happy with it. This year, I think this year is probably what it should have been last year. I'm a little bit, I don't know if anyone watches Man United or not, but Eric Ten Hag, the manager, great first year, overachieved, and then back down to reality in year 2. So that's what's happening here with this. But look, hopefully we can rescue a few. A big issue this week is fight cancellations, people pulling out, people getting replaced. It's been a massive, massive issue this week. There's just so many changes and so many different things. There's actually one of them, I literally pressed record a minute ago and pulled up, or I was about to press record a minute ago. I pulled up the betting just to have it here in front of me, and one of the opponents changed. I was like, when did that happen? Or has that not been updated? Went and looked, and then, okay, here's another fight cancelled. So that's been across the board. On all of, look at Paul Hughes in Cage Warriors, his betting isn't even updated yet. I don't think it's not even there because the opponent has changed 3 times. I think he actually said 4, so there might have been one that we didn't even know about that didn't happen as well. So absolutely crazy week, but we shall too. I'm getting my excuses in early here is all I'm doing. But we shall overcome that as well. Right, first bet of the week. I'm going to start with PFL because I feel like Cage Warriors PFL, but I would say joint best cards of the week. Although PFL, when the season starts back, you always, you have to love that season. I've been really enjoying it over the last while. So I'm giving my first 2 bets from PFL here. And bet number 1, Linton Vassell plus 133 to win his fight against Denis Goltsov. Now, for anyone who listened to the preview show, they won't be too surprised in that when I saw the betting for this, my pick, I was humming and hawing about it, thought a little bit more, and I've gone with Vassell. There are a couple of reasons. The one I touched on the preview show, which I'll touch on again here, is the fight. Let's say the fight against Moldavsky, but there's been a few other fights like it as well. Or Vassell, Vassell has very much gone from a guy who was, he was a well-rounded fighter, but had a lot of knockouts early in his career, to a heavyweight who now offensively grapples an awful lot. We even saw that in against Haritonov and others, and a lot of ground and pound knockouts and a lot of big finishes on the ground. Who is once you might have thought was like, he wouldn't want to grapple, to a guy now who's happy to grapple, to a guy as well who, I'm pretty sure it was the Moldavsky fight, who can be taken down, but get back up and still win. It's not as if he's just going to get taken down, beaten on the ground. Maybe it's a thing. You look at the European fighters, the older English fighters and stuff, and maybe think that's the thing with him. Very much not with him. So I think against Goltsov, and it's a point. It may be an easy point to make, but look at what Goltsov did in his last fight. He took in Flier down, wasn't able to finish him. What happened? Flier got back up and finished him. Now, will Vassell get straight back up and knock him out in the feet? Like he could, but I think there's a more of a chance of, if he doesn't get finished on the ground, if he does get taken down, he might get a takedown himself the longer the fight goes and get a finish there. And I think the one thing about Vassell, and maybe the biggest difference between both of these, right? And this might be a bit of a mean thing to say, but sometimes Goltsov finds a way to lose, but Vassell recently has been finding a way to win. And that is a massive thing for a fighter, especially in the heavyweight division, especially later in their career, especially coming into a season like this, where there's a tournament where you have to, you have to strike while the iron's hot. I think the level of fighter too, like you look at Goltsov over the last while. Okay, he's fought Flier and Antti Delia, but what has he beaten? Heiderman, Castro, Cesar Flier, Maurice Screen. Some good fighters in there. Don't get me wrong, but Vassell, he's beaten Moldavsky, he's beaten Tim Johnson, Fortune, Haritonov, been in there before that, a light heavyweight, Bader and Davis and McGeary, and even Francis Carmont back in 2016, and Mo Lual and others as well. He's been in there with just a higher level, it feels like, over the last while. Now, if you go back all the way through the records, you'll find some good guys on both of them, but I'm not sure that's the best point for my pick in Vassell, but you get what I mean. He has been beating good guys, whereas Goltsov really hasn't gotten the chance as much, I suppose, in the last while. There has been injuries and pullouts and stuff as well, but I just feel my main reason for picking Linton Vassell here is I feel like Goltsov on the feet won't be as much of a threat maybe as a lot of the guys who Vassell has been fighting lately would be. I think Vassell can cope with him on the ground, and I think it's actually going to be harder for Goltsov to cope with Vassell on the ground if Vassell managed to get on top of him, which he has been doing more of recently. I feel like there was a Czech Congo fight in there from Vassell that I'm missing somewhere, but it did I not? Am I gone mad, or did Vassell not fight? Did Vassell not fight Czech Congo? Maybe he didn't. But anyway, I like that. I fancy that to be the first bet of the week, and I'll probably be wrong, but there you go. Plus 133 for Linton Vassell to win there. Right, bet number 2 of the week. We mentioned him a second ago. He is in the main event, and it's a very, very close fight. I'm going to go from Valentin Moldavsky to beat Antti Delia. I was, again, on the previous show, kind of humming and hawing about this one. Wasn't 100% sure. But I think what gave me just a little bit of the edge here was that I feel like, and I spoke about this as well, like Delia, for a lot of the recent parts of his career, has been more of a grappler. You know, funnily enough, you know, you look at the Croatian flag, as I've mentioned a few times, alongside the name, you're thinking, okay, this guy's going to be a striker coming out of Team Crocop, you know, Team Fedor on the other side of it, as I mentioned. He's going to be a striker, but as I said, he has been grappling, but he'll have no problem striking. Whereas Moldavsky, like, again, I would say D'Elia went from striker to grappler, whereas Moldavsky is just well-rounded. Like, that's just the way he fights. As I said, for a heavyweight as well, they're not the biggest finisher in the world or anything like that. I believe he's only one knockout in his 13, 14 fights. But he's a very good, controlled heavyweight. I think this one is going to go a little bit longer. Honestly, if the odds aren't out for it yet, I was waiting on the odds, but this fight is on Thursday. This event is on Thursday, so I had to get it out as early as possible. But I wanted to see the odds for the fight to go to a decision or to go a little bit longer, because I really do think this will. But when I came to it and who I thought would win, I looked at the prices, and they were both, they're actually both right now about the minus 105 price, which I think I can actually I can pull it up for you here for a second. Yeah, they're actually plus 105 Moldavsky is at the moment. That's just changed. Minus 105 for D'Elia. So they're both around the same price. Different places have looked at that. One place has them both minus 112. They're both around the same price there. But plus 105 now is actually best price on Moldavsky. And at that price, or even minus 105, I think it's very, very good. I think the difference here in the longer fight, and I do predict it will be a longer fight, will maybe be that extra touch of control on the ground, or on the feet. I think Moldavsky is way more used to fighting 3-round or even 5-round controlled striking matchups where he's jabbing someone and landing the right hand and being defensively good and stopping the takedown. Like, I just want to see the sizes here as well. So if we have a quick look, Ante Lilia 6'5", Valentin Moldavsky 6'1". Now that has been an issue before for Moldavsky. I think a bigger man is better against him, but at the same time, will that be enough for D'Elia? Like, with all due respect, he's been taking down guys and out grappling guys who aren't as good as Moldavsky. If he was as good and bigger, I think it would be a big problem for Moldavsky. But I just feel like it won't. I think Moldavsky's going to win the fight, and I think he's going to win it probably by decision and probably by unanimous decision. So that's bet number 2 here as well. Right. I'm going to jump over. I'm going to go for one from the UFC, one from Cage Warriors, and then back for my flyer to the UFC again. The first one from the UFC, and this is a fighter I am going on based on their past. I'm going on based against almost one of my favorite fighters that I like to watch, but I'm going for Germaine de Randamie. Based on the price alone, she's plus 155. She's fighting Norma Demont. I just couldn't overlook that price of plus 155. I think it's a very good price. The lowest price she is plus 143 here. But plus 155 there. Her opponent, minus 190 is probably the worst price. Best price minus 175 in Norma Demont. I really like the price. Based on the Randamie. And again, control might be the thing here. Okay, I'll talk about that first, the control part and the ability part. So if you're to look at Norma Demont as a fighter, she is, she has a lot of decisions on her record, a well-rounded fighter. I always like her in a bit of a scrap. She's just a good all-around fighter who can, if the fight needs to go to the ground or the fight does go to the ground, she's well able to fight there. She's well able to strike. She's well able to do it all. She's just a scrappy, good fighter. A better athlete maybe than you'd give her credit for, and all of that. Whereas the Randamie on the other side of it, then very good striker, a very good jab. Has enough power for the weight class, I suppose. Has a submission or two in there, or only one submission, but in against the former champion. And I feel like from the outside she can land those shots that will again gain control for her, but maybe not so much that maybe make her opponent think a little bit more and maybe stop that attacking game. We saw that a little bit with Flier and Blanchfield. You know, I thought it was a pretty bad fight, that one, to be honest. But I think what Flier did, more so than dominated the fight for her, stopped Blanchfield from doing what she wanted to do in terms of coming inside and trying to be a dominant fighter inside. I think that's what's going to happen here with Dumont and de Randamie, right? So that's the analysis of it, and that's why I'm picking de Randamie. What's the drawback in that? De Randamie hasn't fought since 2020. You know, 3.5 years ago. Even then, she only fought once in 2020, you know, twice in 2019, once in 2018, once in 2017, once in 2016, once in 2015, didn't fight in 2014. I mean, go on before that. She has had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights in 10 years. It's just not a lot, is it? It's hard to know what she will look like. She's also, 39 years of age now, I believe. Yeah, 39 years of age. That's the biggest drawback. But there's by no means any guarantees ever with these. But I think, again, I want to throw it out there because maybe someone will take up my analysis and what I'm talking about and have a better bet than me. As I said, the round bettings and all of that aren't out yet, but I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a longer fight. I feel like this is going to be a fight that unless their enemy's absolutely finished and the man just walks through her, I think it's a fight that is going to be touch and go throughout it, and who can get that little bit more control, who can land either the few shots on the outside for de Randamie or a few shots on the inside for Dumont, can take it. I feel like, you know, if de Randamie is anywhere in fight shape or ready for this fight, I think that plus 155 price to go over that balance is a tremendous price. I really think it's a great price, and that's why I'm going for it. Plus 155, Germaine de Randamie, the bet of the week. Right, next bet I'm going for is from Cage Warriors, and I'm going against one of my countrymates here, but I'm going for Ville Mankinen, who is at minus. This price has actually changed in the last while. It's actually minus 170 now, but these odds literally came out in the last hour, so this could very much change over the next while. But he's fighting Decky McAleenan at Cage Warriors, and I have great time for Decky. I think he's a very, very good fighter, and I watched a good bit of his opponent, and I really think this guy is going to be a solid fighter on the European scene for a good while in Mankinen. If you kind of look at him and you look at his record, maybe you wouldn't think that. You know, he has he has the best record in 5-3-1. He lost his last fight to Amelia Had in Cage Warriors. He drew with Keir Harvey, which is a pretty good result. Keir's a good guy, and there isn't that many other names in it. But 5-3-1. He lost his first 2 fights in his career, one in 2017, one in 2019. Since then he is 5-1-1. So it's one of those ones. I think maybe the betting people are looking at that maybe a little bit too much. Something which also happens to Decky, because he's way better than his record would suggest at 8-5-1 actually. He's lost to Harila McIntosh. He's only lost to good guys, Steve Murn, Steve Amiable, and James Gallagher, the first fight of his career as well. Like, he's some great wins in there against Adam Ventura, and his last fight as well, he won at Cage Warriors Dublin. So Decky is a good fighter, but I looked at his opponent, Mankinen, and I'm actually, just first of all, in Decky, I remember, I don't know, was it a scrum or something, we were talking about Decky before, and he kind of give out to people for saying he's more of a grappler than a striker. He's like, you forget sometimes that I'm a striker, because he is actually a very good grappler. And I think Mackinnon's a little bit similar, that you could look at one fight of his and, maybe 2 fights of his and go, okay, this guy's a grappler. You look at 2 separate fights of his and go, oh, wait, this guy's actually a striker. And maybe I was lucky enough, and maybe the 2 to 3 fights or whatever it is I watched of him, I got a bit of a glimpse of it all. Like, he does like it on the floor, but he likes to fight inside in the striking and attacks with these kind of very close kicks. Covering one championship over the last one, I've seen a lot of the Muay Thai and a lot of the, those close inside leg kicks, and not even calf kicks, but like, higher leg kicks from the inside stance, let's say. He does a lot of that, and he works the body awful well. Whereas Decky, I think, likes to have it like a little bit longer. You know, he's a very tall guy for the division. I wonder their heights here. They might not be now, but we've Decky is 6'1". Makkinen's is hardly there. He's 5'10". So he is he's a little bit shorter. So that getting inside will benefit him, you know, massively. I think in the Decky fight, Decky wants to fight at an outside base. He loves, you know, to throw big head kicks. He loves to throw big power punches inside. But I feel like, you know, if Mankinen can get that inside range and he can land those Muay Thai inside kicks, I think it's going to be a very tough night for most people in that division on the European scene. I'll say it again. I think his record is way better than it suggests, and I think he is a guy who's going to be, you know, moving on and moving up in this division an awful lot. And I think maybe, you know, Decky has gone him at a bad time, really, you know, because you know, if Decky was to win or lose, it'd look a worse loss than it is. And it'll look, a worse loss and a worse win, you know, which is very, very unfortunate. But for Mankinen, it's a big opportunity. You know, Decky has been on the verge of a title shot a couple of times, and if you win that fight against Decky Mankinen, you're right there. But yeah, I think, as I said, that inside work, if the fight goes to the ground, I think Mankinen is a very good athlete as well. And if he does get on top and it does turn into a submission battle, I think he's very good there as well. Like, he has 3 submission wins for a guy who is, you know, who does look like a very good Muay Thai practitioner. That does say a lot. So, you know, he's a good bit of experience as well. You know, when you fight 3 rounds with Keir Harvey, that means an awful lot. 3 rounds with Milia had as well, even though it was a loss the last time out. That also means a lot. You know, and we've seen that with Decky too. He's went to a draw with Kieran Lister and went, you know, rounds with the likes of Tom Mearns and others. It does mean a lot. So I think this one will be a fight, again, of fine margins, but I just think the inside game is where he likes it. I think he will be able to get there, and I think the answer to that maybe from Decky of wanting to get the fight to the ground, I think Mankinen could have the advantage there as well. So he's the pick at that price. I like that price, minus 170 for bet number 4 of this week. Right, let's go to the flyer of the week, and the flyer of the week is from the UFC. And it's from the main event in the UFC. And I'm going for Brendan Allen to win by decision at plus 415. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, you look at Brendan Allen, he's a very, 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 very high finishing rate. 19 finishes and 23 wins. He's only gone to a decision 4 times to win it. He's gone to a decision twice as well, I suppose, in losses. It's been a while since he's gone to decision with Jacob Malkoon in 2022. So not that long. It was last year. But I think the other side of it then is Chris Curtis, who has loads of decisions. 21 of his 41 fights have gone to a decision. And, you know, a lot of them obviously recently as well. Went to a decision with Barriault, Gastelum, Hermanson, Vieira, Robertson outside of the UFC. So a lot of decisions recently. And I think that is going to be what's going to prevail here. Like, he's a very, very hard guy to beat, a very hard out. Like, in those 41 fights, he's only been finished twice ever by 1 knockout and 1 submission. Can we find who it was? Let's see. Ray Cooper, when Ray Cooper was at his pomp in 2019, knocked him out, and in the submission loss was a long while back, I believe, against Tom Galicchio. I remember him from The Ultimate Fighter and all that, wasn't he, in 2011? So Chris Curtis doesn't really get finished, and then you look at the betting odds of this fight by itself, and the straight up betting odds are Chris Curtis plus 165, plus 170-ish, minus 200, minus 210, minus 220 even for Brendan Allen. So Brendan Allen is a fairly sizable favourite in this one. I'm watching both of them as well. I think that's correct. I think Allen is maybe a little bit more fast, maybe a little bit faster, maybe a little bit of a higher level, maybe going to a little bit of a next level. And Chris Curtis is a guy, he can cause a storm. He can cause an upset. But I think for a guy like Allen, it's now the time to take it to the next level. You know, you have been in there with Paul Craig and Bruno Silva and Muniz and Jotko. You have to be Chris Curtis to get to, you know, to get to your Stricklands, to get to your Adesanyas, to get to your Gaslams right up, or whoever it might be right above the top. You know, he's obviously lost him before, and he got finished by him in 2021. And I think he has gone to another level since then. I really do. And like, that was a massive fight, obviously, for Chris Curtis. At the time, you know, I think it was his second fight back in the UFC after the great comeback fight against, who was it? Let me look at, it was his second fight back, against Phil Hawes. It was the first one. Remember that? On the 268 card, which I believe is on short notice. That'll be in Brendan Allen's mind as well, and maybe it'll be you know, keeping him from going as all out as he does in some recent fights. I think it all plays in together. Maybe he can get that distance game going. Curtis likes, you know, to fight that kind of even pace. We know he obviously trains a lot with Strickland and all that, and he's happy enough to fight in that pace. But I think sometimes you need to pray against him with that sort of thing, and, you know, fight at a also at an even pace, but with a little bit, you know, a few more shots maybe behind it. You know, it's funny enough, I actually talked to his coach Eric Nixick about this, about just in general there recently, and it's a thing. Look, they're going to be working on it in the gym and everything, but I don't think it's as easy as that. It's a thing that, you know, Strickland maybe came up short. Curtis has come up short that way before, and it's a process, I suppose, to change those things. But yeah, I believe that's going to be the winning and losing in the fight, and I think he could be the reason why it goes to decision. It could be the reason why Allen wins it. So that is the flyer of the week. I'm going for Brendan Allen to win by decision, plus 415, if I'm correct. Yeah, plus 415. Right, let's look through some of the other bets for the week. So starting off with PFL, obviously we spoke about D'Elia against Moldavsky. I believe that James Gunn fight is actually off. So the Moldavsky-D'Elia fight, Moldavsky plus 105, minus 125. The rest of the PFL then, as we just get rid of this, Velasquez and Carmouche. I was very much looking at Carmouche in here, but I just think that price is a tad too big for my liking. If you give me minus 150, maybe I'd go for it, but Velasquez is still a good fighter, and she's gonna have a lot in her tank there, so very interesting to see how that goes. We've also Vassell, obviously, which we spoke about, and going for that at plus 133. I was looking at a treble, maybe at the Cheva, Santos, and Carmouche, but didn't come out all that high, so I kind of left that behind. I do think the Cheva will win. Very interesting fight here. This Ivanov, who's coming in short notice as well, against Sergey Beloshtin. Minus 130, minus 150 was just a little bit too much. This wasn't good enough for me either, so I left that behind. Santos surely will win that fight. Popov and Mowry, again, I spoke about that on the preview show. I probably just lean Popov there, if I'm being honest, but Tall Steve, I do like him as a fighter. If that went up to plus 150, I'd probably go for it, but not as it is at the moment. I think Wanatabe will win. I like Bishop in that fight as well, and those are the tournament fights there. The UFC then, not a whole lot in this card, let's be honest. The Brendan Allen fight, let's see, is there any other odds out on that yet? No, there isn't, but I got him from elsewhere, actually. The Hernandez-Jackson, I always like Hernandez as an underdog, and I hate him as a favourite, so I'm going to leave that one to the side. Not going to bet on that one. I probably would go for him over Jackson. I do like Charrier over Marsecal. I believe that's another change as well in that, but best price minus 120. That's probably a good price on Charrier. Let's see what else we like. Walter Walker, who's the brother of Johnny Walker. Not the best price in the world either, but I believe he's a talented guy. One bet I really like, and I was going to look at it, was Morono, and I think Morono by decision. I believe Morono by decision is around even money. So let's go for that one. Calvillo. You know, Calvillo's a big underdog there, or not a big underdog, but a sizable enough, minus 136. might be worth looking at, and the rest a bit meh. And then we've cage riders which aren't up there yet, but we have them over here on our friends' fight odds. James Sheehan is a big favourite there, minus 550, plus 400. I think James Sheehan will win. I think those odds should be around minus 250, not around minus 550. If you're looking for a flyer, Daniel Conrad is as good a flyer as you'll get this week at plus 400. I'll tell you that. He has a big chance to win that fight. As I said, my countryman James Sheehan, my namesake James Sheehan, I think he will win it. But that is a ludicrous price, and that will have changed probably by the time this comes out. As I talked about Decky and Mankinen. You have Mankinen and Mankinen. Emer Darcy, one of the best up and coming. I believe it's her debut there. A very good amateur fighter. A lot of people. I was talking to a few people about the Sacramento price, minus 150. That's actually gone down. They were both even money when these betting odds came out not too long ago. That'll continue. If you can get that at minus 150, I would go for it. I think Solomon Simon's a good price as well. Sinead Newland. Again, it's very tough. Like, Sinead's at her right weight class now. Don't know a whole lot about her opponent, but Sinead is still very green on the way up. I'd probably avoid those prices as well. Harvey, I like him minus 115, to be honest. Love Jar Harris, but minus 350. Probably a good bet to try and turn that accumulator. And then Ryan Shelley as well at minus 200, I think, is a pretty good price for that one. So there you go. Those are the bets for the week. Those are all the odds that are coming up over the next while. And that's that. Please bet responsibly. Let me know what you're betting on this week in the comment section below here on YouTube, and we will leave it there. Just to recap, Linton Vassell, plus 133, plus 105 for Moldavsky, plus 155 for Germaine de Randamie, minus 170 for Ville Mankinen, and the flyer of the week, plus 415 for Alan to win via decision. All right, thank you to everybody for tuning in. My name is Sean Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.